Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Mantra, slave songs, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close I hide, my ancestors speak. They tell me the tide isn't run on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I surpass peak. Until they think we are equal, please. All I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until their bones would bleed, begging the generations remember our story.
Yo. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Hope all is well with everybody, man. Appreciate y'all for being here. Grab a seat, get comfortable, get you something to snack on, something to sip on. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators. The list is long, but it's necessary. We have to give people flowers while they still here, man. We don't give enough credit where it's due. A lot of soul and a lot of passion goes into crafting your dreams and your ambitions, man. And so from me to you, keep doing what you're doing. I got Coach in the building. Let me bring him up on the big screen. I got a clip that I want to play. We got some stuff to talk about, man. Hold on a minute. Yo.
What up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. What's the word?
Chilling, man. Another morning. Happy to be here. Happy to be breathing, like you said.
Likewise. Well, look, man, I shared this with you, but I want to share this with the people just in case y'all didn't see it. It's an older story, but it doesn't really change what the conversation is going to be. For the people who are watching, this man got 5 years for basically killing a woman that he was seeing on the side because he was in fear of being caught by his main woman. So I'm gonna bring this up on the big screen. I'm gonna let it play all the way out, and we're gonna go from there.
A woman was murdered in Chicago, and her killer received a 5-year manslaughter prison sentence. This is the killer, Tyson Tillman. He murdered this woman back in 2022 after throwing her from the 5th floor of this apartment building right here. She fell into the alley. Her name was Tabitha Tanner. She was 31 years old. They arrived in his building around 10:09 p.m. 38 minutes later, Tillman's girlfriend arrived. Around 10:59, a camera captured Tabitha being thrown from the alley. She was naked. She fell and she instantly died. Around 11:03, Tyson went outside to check on the body. Then he went back inside. The body of Tabitha wasn't found until 7 hours later. The crazier part about this is that this man was saying, "I threw that bitch out the window." It was captured in one of the body cams from the police. He's been in jail since 2022. The trial just ended, and the jury stated that he was only guilty of involuntary manslaughter, which gives him a 5-year sentence. He'll be out in about 2 years. If Tabitha can't come back home to her family, neither should Tyson. He should be in jail the rest of his life. He will eventually kill somebody else. What is going on, Chicago? You are letting criminals out in the streets. Rest in peace to Tabitha Tanner. My condolences goes out to her family.
Like he just said, you know, my thoughts and prayers go out to that family. Anybody that's associated with her or knew her personally, you know, you hate to see stories like that. I don't care if you were the wife. I don't care if you were the girlfriend. I don't care if you was the one night stand. Nobody deserves to leave this planet in that fashion. Your initial thoughts on the video and the story?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But that just shows today people don't value life, man. You know what I mean? I'm sure there was a better way to handle the situation, but you know, it's unfortunate.
There's a lot of angles to cover here, so I'm gonna start with this one. Would it have mattered if she knew that he had a significant other or not? Would that have changed the outcome of this situation? Because there's people who are saying or trying to put blame on her for, you know, being involved with him, assuming that, oh, she knew that that man had a girlfriend and she was still dealing with him. Nobody really knows that. The only people that know that is him, her, and God himself. So does the scenario change if she knows and she still pursues him regardless of the fact that he's involved with someone? Does that really make a difference here?
In what piece? I don't think any situation, any way you describe it, changes the results and makes it okay for him to throw her out the window. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't think no matter how you reframe it, none of it results in justification of being deployed out a window and losing their lives behind it. Whether it was consensual or not, I don't think that changes it.
Why do you think people subjugate themselves to being the side dude or the side woman? Like I get it might have its conveniences, but I don't think that there's a real benefit or outcome that comes from it where somebody doesn't lose in the end. So I mean, just from your point of view, why do you think people are so comfortable with being in that position?
I mean, what's the position? I mean, what is it that you said you don't see any benefit from it? I mean, I guess it's subjective. It's all based on the individual and what they're looking for. I mean, same can be said as to why people will get married and stay married to somebody for 30, 40, 50 years. It's all up to perspective. And then you said convenience. I mean, everything is up to convenience. So I mean, I guess it just depends on where you are at your stage in life. Maybe your schedule is too busy. Maybe you don't want to be around somebody. I mean, I have no idea, man. I can't really answer to people's mindset, but it's just solely up to the individuals in that relationship. I mean, like you said, you might not be able to see the benefits, but if you're that person that you possibly don't want to be around somebody, 24 hours out of the day, maybe possibly just looking for somebody. And again, in a relationship, it ain't always got to be about sex. So, it can be give and exchange. Maybe it can be quality time. Maybe that person understands, their situation and how they're going through things. Maybe they understand, just being able to be there for them for some type of communication outlet, or it could be just, quite a few things that they find a commonality within each other, and that just works for them. I think we just got to get out of the mindset of, things only happen and working in one way. I think there's many ways to get things done, and it just depends on what you're open to.
See, it's not a problem if that's what you want to do. The problem is I didn't consent to this. When I started laying down with you and touching on you in intimate areas and holding hands and opening my wallet and my legs and my home and introducing you to family and friends and all of these different things, I did not sign up for you to be having other people in the background because you feel as if I'm not meeting certain criteria that you require. I didn't ask for that. That's something that you decided to impart on this relationship. That's where I have the issue. So it is, if it's open and you're telling me at the beginning of all of this, these are the arrangements that I prefer. Do you agree or disagree with this? And I say, yeah, then I don't have nothing to say. We're just going to have to talk about who you're dealing with. There has to be certain structures placed so that I'm safe, you're safe, nobody is spreading diseases, et cetera, et cetera. But when you take away my option, we have a problem. So the gentleman here specifically, you got a woman that you're dealing with that has the title, right? But with the title, what were the discussions within that conversation, right? All right, so I'm your woman. Does that mean we're exclusive? Does that mean that we can have an open, closed type of a dynamic? Is it open on my end, closed on your end? Is it how does that work? Doesn't look like that was the situation here, and it's really not that type of a situation in most cases. There's always some sneaky, nefarious BS going on within that, and then when you end up seeing stuff like this, is like, well, how do you point the finger? My issue leans more towards the man specifically, because just tell or have the conversation with the woman that you're actually involved with, let them know what's going on, so you don't have to run around. Like, I'll be damned if I'm about to sit here and pay all these bills in this house or this wherever I'm laying my head at. I'm paying all the bills in here, and I'm going to be walking on eggshells, scared about you walking out of my life. This, that, and the third. We're grown. We're adults. So if this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. You don't have to be here. But to tell somebody that you are locked in with them, but you're not really locked in with them, yeah, that's just trash to me.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by locked in, but if people tend to throw around the term adults a lot, and just because you may be a certain age doesn't qualify you as an adult. Um, how are you interpreting things? How are you comprehending things? Are you having these open conversations? Obviously, from the clip, and other than hearing the gentleman explain what happened, I mean, it's not much to interpret from the clip, but also looking at the age groups of these folks. Obviously, the gentleman had issues, so that's something that could have been identified prior to. I'm sure that it wasn't just a sporadic idea to throw her out the window. I'm sure he's probably, if his temperament went to that far extreme, probably identify symptoms of anger management issues, lying, deceiving, different things of those natures that kind of led up to it. So you just look out for those signs so that way, even if you are in that situation, it doesn't end in that result. So I think there's a lot of things that probably should have been identified prior to. And then just using this as a stepping stone for people in relationships that may be going through some things like that, or people exhibiting those type of behaviors. Just some signs to look out for, and probably some indicators that you should probably walk away and get out of that toxic environment. So I would probably focus more on that than necessarily as far as for them dating other people. It seems to be other issues that are mental issues that they need to be looking at. Instead of worrying about sex so much, probably people should start focusing more on their mental health. Instead of worrying about, laying down and sleeping with people need to start worrying about they're mentally capable and compatible with folks that they're with, because you seem to be thinking with the wrong heads. Stop focusing so much on sex. Everything is hypersexualized, and mental health seems to be a buzzword that's going around. But obviously, looking at videos like these is something we need to be talking more about.
Just to clarify, when I say locked in, that's just another way of saying me and you had a conversation. We spent time together. We decided we want to be committed. This is now a union. There are no outside parties involved in this. There's polyamory, there's monotony, there's different forms of relationships depending on the person. This situation is two people saying we here for each other. We're going to have conversations. We're going to be open and honest, and we're going to pour into each other. We're going to do this the way that society says it should be done. We're going to do this the way that we think it should be done. And then like you said, most people, they say they're adults, but they're not really moving like adults. Most people in situations like this, they do all of this lovey-dovey. Oh, we're so in sync, we're so together. Oh my God, cute thing. And then it's like, all right, when it's time for you to actually apply all of that logic, it goes out the window. Now, yeah, granted, this is a very short clip. The story doesn't go into full biography mode, but just off of what I watched, it's the same story, just in a different body, in a different element, different environment. poor communication. One person signed up for something that the other person didn't. And then it's the same archetype of adult making the claim that they're an adult. But why don't you tell the woman or tell the man, you're not providing me with things in certain areas that you used to, or we need to have a conversation about how we can resolve some of my concerns and vice versa, so that there isn't a opportunity for someone on the outside to get in within the confines of this relationship and cause problems. I'm coming to you first. I'm not just gonna be resentful or be like, oh, this person ain't this, so I'm gonna just go ahead and outsource. And remember the shit we did a few weeks back about the fucking sub hub, where the woman was like, I got a husband or a sub hub, a guy that I kind of get sex from outside of the household because of my husband is not giving me the. It's the same thing. Talk.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, just tell me what's up. Don't leave me in the dark about what's going on, and then I have to find out.
Do you think people are having these conversations, man? Because, like you just said, you said, use an example when you first started. You said, we locked in. So, do you think people are actually having these detailed, educated conversations with each other?
No. No.
Right. So we keep talking about, the environment, different clips from different cities, all the same environment. You know what I mean? It's cookie cutter, copy and paste. It's the same environment, different neighborhoods, different cities, same mentality. Like you mentioned, you also mentioned relationships as far as based on society. I mean, that's the first mistake right there, even looking and basing your relationships on society, because society is so messed up. We keep talking about, the videos and music and all that stuff out there. Eventually, man, you're a product in your environment. You are what you see, you are what you eat. So, it's kind of hindsight is 2020. We're talking about, the conversations of things that should happen, but they're not happening. You know what I mean? So again, it's lack of education, and again, you got to want to do better. But if you're trying to portray these lifestyles, that you see on TV, they aren't healthy lifestyles. So you're trying to portray these lifestyles, and you're trying to actually role play and live these lifestyles out that aren't meant for you. You know what I mean? You aren't smart enough. You aren't educated enough. You probably aren't wealthy enough to live these different types of lifestyles that they're living, and they're trying to fit them into their lives. And that's, generally that's just where people are going wrong. I mean, we can talk about the same, what we would have done and what we could do in relationships and the expectations and stuff. But the reality of it, man, is these conversations just aren't being had. It's not cool to have. It's not lit. It's not the thing to do, to have these educated conversations about relationships. Everybody wants the end result, to go on trips, to go on vacations and all these types of things, but nobody is talking about putting in the work. You don't see people talking about how they put in the work and how those things, that type of stuff is not being glorified.
And that's crazy to me, especially when you see folks talking about how lonely they are, how miserable the dating market is. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't trust this. I don't trust that. Well, put it in perspective. All right. There's a action and a reaction for everything. The people that you draw to you, you're drawing them to you because of something that is inside of you internally that is attractive to the other person. Now, you have to be the one to identify what that is specifically. And then ask yourself, is that thing that is imparted on you, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Because we can point the finger at everybody else, but if you're accepting the lifestyle and the conditions that you're in, who else is to blame? I'm not laying down with you at night. You know what I'm saying? And you need to talk about this stuff. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Why? Because for one, I don't know about you, but I'm trying to weed out all the bad apples. I need to know who the hell I need to stay away from, who I need to keep my money away from, who I need to keep my words and my thoughts away from, because you can't tell everybody everything. You can't touch and embrace everybody. Some folks got negative spirits on them. And if you allow them any access to you, you're putting yourself in harm's way. You have to really, like, this shit is not just, oh, you learn everything in one day. You will be 45, 65, 70 years old still learning and growing. I guarantee you, by the time, if you are fortunate enough to hit that age, you're still going to be wondering about this or that. And, oh, I didn't know this, or I didn't know that. I'm still that way. So it's very arrogant to think that you are like this relationship scientist and you got all the configurations in one specific order, and that system works for you. Because if it did work for you, you wouldn't be satisfied with being a side person to another person's relationship. But that's just personal opinion, right? Because a lot of the reasons why people take that option is because it's probably easier. You don't have to do the homework. You don't have to really deal with addressing certain things you don't like about a person. So you can kind of take what you want from it and then go on about your way without having to deal with the other stuff that comes with it. You don't have to get emotionally invested. That's a lot of what the arguments usually are. I don't know. I just think that it's senseless, and it goes deeper than that too. But I'm gonna stop right there for now.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, because if it's short term, perhaps. Um, Again, it just depends on what you want out of any relationship. You still got to put in work if you want to maintain it. Again, it depends on what your objective is. You got to put work in no matter what. Emotions are still involved. If you're saying it from the sexual aspect, if it's just a support aspect, you still got to who on both sides. You still got to be able to deal with and tolerate and be able to communicate effectively, because it's still a relationship. So, and not only that, now you navigate multiple relationships. So you have to manage time wise, you have to manage egos, you have to manage communication, you have to manage conversation, endurance to be able to sustain multiple relationships. So yeah, it's a lot. It just again, it just depends on what you're looking for and what you're trying to get out of those relationships. So yeah, I agree with you. It's a lot, and it can be tasking, if that's what you want to do. But you putting forth your efforts into that, like you said, you could probably put more efforts into just one person versus multiple people. So it just depends on the individual. But yeah, either way, we start talking about the mental capacity again. It's because now you're entertaining multiple personalities. You definitely got to want to do it if you're going to do it and be successful with it.
Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. But I do agree with what you said. One second.
Yeah, so just in any relationship, things to think about, is perspectives from both sides, all parties included and involved. So it's definitely not for the weak. But relating back to the video, some of the obvious, facts over feelings, keep your emotions in checks. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely got to keep your emotions in check, because that's what happens in most relationships is the emotions take over. You're only human, but what you can do is, checks and balances. Maybe think about, what you're going through. If the emotions are starting to take over, count to 10, do some breathing counts, some mechanisms, so things that you do for self-care, and try to get those things under control. And then you can try to think logically after, act logically after that, because that's what happens with emotions is, and that's what happens when people don't think first. Emotions happen and then you blurt things out. Hurtful things can be said, or you can say things to try to make somebody feel good that you don't necessarily mean, and then now you're giving out mixed emotions, and that's not what you want to do.
At Cool Breeze, yep, there is a place for them. Jail, the grave, psych ward, court. Like there's a lot of places for them type of folks. And like for me, just looking at everything that I constantly see on social media, folks who don't know how to control themselves, you get involved with all of these different energies and these different people without knowing your limitations and your boundaries. Do you find yourself looking at that man or that woman, knowing what you're about to get in, and say, all right, I can deal with this, I'm cool with that? Or do you lie to yourself and say, all right, I'm cool, I can do it? Oh, I'm okay with being hypergamous, and I can deal with a man who has money and multiple women. And all honestly, I don't believe that. I'm lying to myself, but I'll pretend like I do. Or are you one of them people who are obsessed with the idea of love, or obsessed with the idea of a person, and you got it in your head that they're one way but they're not, and you try to make them conform to what you believe they're supposed to be? It don't work that way, and then you go off the deep end and snap because they don't move like a robot like you expect them to. Or are you one of them people who just don't have the tools and the proper organizational skills to find balance when things are not going in the ways that you would like them to go, in that infrastructure that you've created with the other person? Anybody who crashes out, you can get heartbroken, you can be angry, you can be frustrated. That's natural. But you have to know yourself so well that you don't go off of the deep end when things don't go the way that you anticipate them to go. Humans are just that, they're humans. And I think people, for some reason, I think people expect everyone to move, think, and act like them. Everybody got their own way of walking and talking and thinking and laughing and smiling and loving. And is it to your benefit? Maybe not. Maybe so. But see, that's why you gotta really know how to communicate. My thing here again, it goes back to the fact that, why are you in a relationship not being honest about why you step out, or you had, like, even before you decide to step out, you need to talk to your person, let them know what's going on. It's like, I don't understand. It be all good at the beginning. Y'all talk about everything. You be free. You be floating on cloud nine about everything. But then at some point, You get comfortable, time moves forward, the routine it sets in. All the things that you were doing at the beginning, you didn't evolve upon it. You didn't continue to build on that. You kind of just settled, and then next thing you know, y'all walking around each other, secretly having these different thoughts and opinions about each other, but you're not really expressing them like you used to at the beginning. At the beginning, you could be sarcastic and funny, and you can be real and transparent. 6-7 months in, a year in, you ain't doing that no more. Now you got somebody who decides that instead of looking at the person that they adored and had at such a high regard, instead of going to them like you used to, now what you're doing is you're diminishing what the relationship was supposed to be to both of y'all in the first place, and you're going outside of it, bringing more mess into it. That never made sense to me. You might as well just break up with the person and then keep it pushing. But I digress. And go ahead. You got it.
No, go ahead. You cooking? Go ahead.
I was about to respond to what he said about the only person you can control is yourself, and that's a fact. It is. All right, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna yield the mic. You meet somebody, you're attracted to them, you hit it off, you're being yourself, allegedly, because some people cosplay or they present what they want you to be. Everybody's not organically just being themselves, but at the end of the day, they're gonna do what they're gonna do regardless. If you want to step out and sleep with somebody else, you're gonna do it. If you're gonna be a cheater or a liar or whatever the case may be, you can't control that. I'm not getting mad at you for deciding to step out. I'm not getting mad at you for lying. I'm not getting mad at you for doing this, that, and the third, because I understand how human nature works. You just can't make people clock in and clock out how you see fit. If it was that, then none of us would go to what. I'm gonna stop here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't force anybody to conform to what you want. But again, it just goes back to self-worth and value, man. That's just something people need to start identifying and searching for. Learn the value of yourself, start dealing with what intangibles you may have, you may not have, and what you may want to seek in other people, and just make that clear. That's all you can do, man.
He brought up another point, and I want to touch on that too real quick. Is the honeymoon phase really organic, or is it just that, oh, we think we know each other for real, but we really don't? So everything feels good, and then, like he said, your true colors come out, and then it's like, oh shit, I just got catfished. Is the honeymoon phase a real thing, or is it just a false reality that we create because we're just attracted to the person and we want it to work so bad?
Yeah, I don't know about the honeymoon phase, man. I think again, people need to stop relying on TV and society to live their lives, man. If you're dating somebody, you meet somebody, and it's organic, and I think that's probably the truest form of the relationship when you having an experience with somebody. Now, when you start trying to impress them and do all those other type of things, you're already stepping outside of your lane and your realm, because you're not doing things that are natural. That's not something that you would naturally do. And that might be what he means by honeymoon phase, because you're trying to do things that are not within your your range to make somebody feel a certain way versus just being yourself. So I think that might be what you said is you're starting out already on the wrong foot, so to say. You're already lying. You're already projecting to be something that you're not. So that might be kind of what you're alluding to. And I think that's where, like you're saying, the relationship is already starting out wrong if you're trying to impress people, because it's not a magic show. You're not doing it for, an applause or likes. You should just casually be yourself and engage in conversation or whatever it is that you're doing. If you're going hiking, if you're going out for drinks, or if you're doing things that you like and that person like and you both enjoy doing it, I don't think that's a honeymoon phase. I just think that's you naturally building on a relationship. But if you are doing things like that, you wouldn't typically take them out to dinner, but you're taking them out to dinner, like the video we watched the other night. The guy went out and bought some food. I think that would be starting a honeymoon phase because you're doing exactly everything. Like you're fulfilling their dreams and wishes. You're the perfect quote unquote match or person that they're dating. And then if you don't maintain that, that might be where the honeymoon phase goes away, if you call it the honeymoon phase, because you're pretending to do things to get that person to like you or to be interested in you. So maybe that's what I guess the honeymoon phase would consider to be. But if you're just being yourself and you both are naturally gravitated towards each other, then that won't go away because you're just naturally being yourself and who you are. But the moment you start having to pretend to be something that you aren't, I guess that would be the initiation of the honeymoon phase, or why it's called a honeymoon phase.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a better term to replace that. It's been turned Hollywood.
Exactly.
This stuff that we be watching on TV is not real. Most of it is. I was watching some shit on. Yeah, it is a lying phase. It's definitely a lying phase because you be pleasant and you be sweet. All right, put it this way: I was watching a clip with Ray J on Instagram, and somebody captioned the shit. It said, "Man, Ray J must have switched his hat 200 times in this one clip, right?" And then when the clip played, he's talking, and every time he says something different, his hat is either to the side or it's a fitted cap or it's a fucking top hat, or like he had on like different hats the whole in that whole scene. It was like, bruh. And then you sent me something the other day, and I'm thinking, yeah, we see what we want to see and we hear what we want to hear, and then we interpret stuff a specific way, and it really isn't that. I think we be disappointing ourselves sometimes. And I
that's it, man. You do. People disappoint themselves, man. That's exactly it.
I done had to humble myself a lot like that because I am that person who ignored red flags. I saw them, but you were attractive to me, so it was like, I think I can deal with it for a little bit. But then what happens is you let that go. They don't think nothing is wrong with it, so it intensifies, blows up, gets messy and ugly. Now you're in a situation you could have avoided if you just would have addressed it when you had to.
Right. So accountability, man, like you just said, you know what I mean? And then when you choose to look past it, you said they don't think nothing is wrong with it. But why would you? Because you look past it. You know what I mean? So why would I think I'm wrong if you accepted it and you just moved past it? So now that false sense of security, I'm thinking, well, you didn't have an issue with it before. Why you got an issue with it now? So now, prospectively, I can say you changing up. You're not being the person who you was initially. So if you accepted it and moved past that red flag, because you asked the question earlier, who would be wrong in that situation? So in this situation, you took the accountability. But if you were actually in a relationship, would you identify as being wrong, or is that something you would identify with after the relationship is over with? You know what I mean? Like, damn, what did I go wrong? I went wrong by accepting that bullshit to begin with, and saying, you know what, I can deal with it, or I can change her, because people say that type of stuff all the time, or I can change him. You know what I mean? And then that becomes the issue, and now you're pointing the finger when it's both of y'all's fault. You know what I'm saying? So again, the main important thing is that you learn, and then you try not to repeat the same mistake over and over again. That's all you can do.
That Southern charisma, being passive never works out for anybody, unless that's your personality type. Because we go back to that opposites attract thing. That might work for some people. I honestly don't think being passive aggressive ever works. To me, it just sounds like you're cheating yourself. You're just going to let things slide, but you're going to pretend like you're okay with it, and you're not being fair to yourself. And that's why I say what I said earlier about going back to the original portion of the show. My man was in a relationship, don't know the content or how things worked within there. You're in a whole relationship. I mean, you signed up for it. Yeah, I agreed to the terms and conditions. At least both parties, especially the girlfriend, she's under the impression that you're both on the same contract, but obviously somebody made modifications to it. You decide that you're going to step out, invite somebody else into this vortex of bullshit. Things turn sour. And this is where I want to address what Michelle has spoke on about the justice system. You get this guy who created unnecessary hurt. Somebody's dead because of his lack of communication with his girlfriend, his decision to step outside of a relationship and proactively seek attention from someone else, bringing another party into it, concealing information from the main person. You got a whole new storyline that can create anger, bitterness, vengefulness. A woman is dead, and now you're telling me this person tells you they tossed the woman from 5 floors to the concrete in the alley. She's naked. Nobody deserves to get discarded like that. We go to the justice system to do what they're supposed to do. You're getting paid all this money every year, and you're telling me this man only gets 5 years for manslaughter. I want to address that real quick. Is this justice? Is this justifiable sentencing? Did he really prove to you that this was manslaughter, that this was an accident, or that he didn't mean to do what he did, even though he said out his mouth, I tossed her over the such and such? The way that it was described is like, man, I tossed that bitch over this motherfucker. That don't sound like somebody who is remorseful or did it on accident or anything like that. So I mean, as far as that part, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't have enough information to speak on something like that, man. Especially when you're talking about somebody lost their life and I don't have any facts or any information on the case, so I can't speak logically on it. But if that was just his words, and I mean, I don't have enough information to speak on it, man. Especially with this being online media, I won't speak on that. Just for somebody possibly clip that shit up and repost it out there, that would be irresponsible. So I won't speak on that, man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Just I'm gonna just say disclaimer. Just my opinion. If the story is true, 5 years is not enough time. Whether or not we look at this and say, well, the court and the prosecutor and all of these entities, their job was to prove without a shadow of a doubt that this was this or that, and then they came to the conclusion that my opinion still it stands that I don't think they did enough. I don't think they did exactly what was needed in this case. But of course, that's just my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the ins and outs of how you go about sentencing someone properly, but I do know that they have a history in many countries and many states of prosecuting people incorrectly. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, because you know how it is. It comes to the evidence. It comes to who was defending who, depends on whose lawyer was representing who. You know what I mean? It's a lot of back stuff to it. But yeah, for throwing somebody out, out the window and for them to be unalived like that, you would definitely want to see them get some more time to sit behind that wall and to be able to think to themselves and get the opportunity to reinvent themselves, take accountability for their actions, and then to be able to have some time to think about it, reflect on it, and come out a better version of themselves. But I don't think that'll be able to happen in 60 months. So I agree with you on that. Rehabilitation is going to need a little bit more longer than 60 months.
Right. I'm gonna play this clip one more time just for the people who didn't get to see it, so they can understand what the entire conversation was about, and then we can kind of like conclude from here. But shout outs to everybody that is in the building. I'm bringing this back up on the big screen just so y'all get understanding. This case was from a few years back.
A woman was murdered in Chicago and her killer received a 5-year manslaughter prison sentence. This is the killer, Tyson Tillman. He murdered this woman back in 2022 after throwing her from the 5th floor of this apartment building right here. She fell into the alley. Her name was Tabitha Tanner. She was 31 years old. They arrived in this building around 10:09 p.m. 38 minutes later, Tillman's girlfriend arrived. Around 10:59, a camera captured Tabitha being thrown from the alley. She was naked. She fell and she instantly died. Around 11:03, Tyson went outside to check on the body. Then he went back inside. The body of Tabitha wasn't found until 7 hours later. The crazier part about this is that this man was saying, "I threw that bitch out the window." It was captured in one of the body cams from the police. He's been in jail since 2022. The trial just ended, and the jury stated that he was only guilty of involuntary manslaughter, which gives him a 5-year sentence. He'll be out in about 2 years. If Tabitha can't come back home to her family, neither should Tyson. He should be in jail the rest of his life. He will eventually kill somebody else. What is going on, Chicago? You are letting criminals out in the streets. Rest in peace to Tabitha Tanner.
Yeah, because That could have been the two young ladies got into a fight, you know what I'm saying, and one fell, or it's involuntary manslaughter. It wasn't murder. So I mean, it sounds like it can be a lot more to it. So, but
Well, let me give you some more context. In another clip, they arrested the girlfriend because they thought the girlfriend had got into it with her. They later concluded that no, it was actually him who did it. So there was no tussle, there was no fight.
yeah. But how
Yeah,
did they conclude that? You know what I'm saying? What you know what I mean? Was it something that she might have copped the plea to, or to put on him? You know what I'm saying? So it
yeah.
could be a lot of backstory to it. So, but unfortunate situation being regardless, and that's the type of thing you want to educate people to, not put themselves in those type of positions. You know, both male and female. But yeah,
Period. That's that's the message. That's the message. If you want to be polyamorous and all that, then find people who cool with it. But if you want to be in a relationship with people, y'all need to do better with how you're going about these partnerships. It will be real fucked up if he took the fall for it, but she was actually the one that did it. But either way, the whole situation is messed up though.
yeah, no, agreed, definitely. But I mean, again, it goes to the mindset, man. You know, we got to unlearn a lot of things that we learned growing up. You know, and in the environments that we were brought up in. Are we in survival mode, or we just trying to survive? I mean, what's going on out there? There's a lot of things decisions that we're making, based on the environments that we're in that's detrimental to us, ourselves, and the people around us, man. So again, it just keep saying it over and over again. It just goes back to the education piece and teaching people that you got to want to do better. You are better, and you got to want to be better. But again, for being a product of your environment, man, there's only so much stuff that you can do because you don't know what you don't know.
Facts. And at Cool Breeze and Southern, that's a fact. That's a fact. You gotta really, if you're dating, date with intentions. Nothing more or less. There's nothing out here that's worth losing your life over, especially in that matter. And on top of that, you should want to be a priority. You should never want to come second to anybody. I know we have a culture that says it's okay to live like that, but you see, with stories like this, you can make the argument that's probably not the direction you want to go in. And I'm gonna stop there, man. Again, shout outs to everybody in the chat, man. Y'all made the conversation that much more important. We need to have these discussions more often, and I'm grateful for the wisdom and the words. Coach, as always, man, is always a pleasure and an honor, man, to share this platform with you, bro. Pay close attention to
Yeah, like she said, the signs are always there, man. You just got to choose to observe them and not ignore them. But yeah, hey, man, always great chopping it up with you, brother, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, we gonna stop through here later on, man. If y'all available, 7 p.m. Eastern, we back at it. It's gonna be another goodie, you know. Just in case we don't chop it up, you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going back in the lab. I hope y'all enjoyed the discussion this morning, and see y'all later. Oh, do me a solid before you go, if you don't mind. Peace.
Mantra, slave songs, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close I hide, my ancestors speak. They tell me the tide isn't run on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I surpass peak. Until they think we are equal, please. All I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums.